Now that was bizarre. Did an entire opening, and apparently we were disconnected. Welcome to the broadcast, 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. Great to be here. Glad that we were able to connect with GFQ, and let's hope that this connection stays stable for the rest of the broadcast. Let me give out the phone number, 888-659-3727. Excuse me, I have a little bronchitis that's been lingering, which is a real pain in the ass. But listen, if you're new to the broadcast, don't know who I am, why I'm here, this is the Hair Loss Show. I'm a consumer advocate for men and women dealing with hair loss. I am the author of two of the most well-known books, frankly, in the history of hair loss. As obnoxious as that sounds, it's just the truth. And I'm not even going to name them. Look them up. And I'm the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, and this is a broadcast. This is a program that has been on the air for almost 17 years, where we basically created a platform for men and women to discuss an issue that society does not really allow us to talk about, and that's hair loss. Now, 2/3 of you by the age of 35 will suffer with some degree of hair loss, and 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. So if you don't think that this is a major issue in this world, think again. You know, I was out to dinner last night. We went to a local bar restaurant we like to hang out at. Just went with Common Law. I felt like having a couple of drinks. And we're sitting at this booth. It's this bar with these kind of booths on the side. And it's connected to a kind of a higher end, not a higher end, but, a decent fish joint here in Los Angeles. As I'm having like my second Jameson's, Common Law tells me, she says, we're sitting on the same side of the booth because that's what people who are still attracted to each other actually do. And she's like, and she understands the lingo, so she could say this. She goes, "That Norwood is staring at you." I'm like, "Really?" And I take a look and I want to see what's going on. And I see this guy with a woman. Guy must be in his mid-40s. It looks like he's with his wife. And there's another woman who is sitting across the booth. It was a couple and looks like a friend or maybe a family member. This bronchitis is killing me. And this guy, he is checking me out. Now I'm thinking to myself, well, he is in Norwood, like a Norwood 3. It's possible that he had some work done, even though he was like 4 booths away. I was able to see some of the telltale signs that most people could not see. The work was really good. So I thought to myself, well, maybe he does recognize me. I mean, that's a possibility, right? It happens. I know I'm not an A-list celebrity, but there are people that, actually, watch this broadcast or have listened to me on the radio for many years and have taken the time to check me out and see what I look like. So, to try to make a long story short, gets a little uncomfortable after a while, but, I can see they're at the end of their meal. Guy pays the bill. They walk over. As they're walking out the door, they have to walk past our booth, our table. And a guy comes up to me and says, "Mr. Kobren, I don't want to disturb you. I'm sorry if I am, but I just want to say that I'm a really big fan, and your show has changed my life." And I was like, well, thank you so much for stopping. Now, by this point, I was already like 3 drinks in. I asked him what his name was, and we chatted for a second. He introduced me to his wife. And then he introduced me to this person who was his wife's friend. And she must have been loaded because she went on to say, yeah, so-and-so could not stop talking about you during our meal. Could not stop talking about the show that you do. And frankly, I don't even understand why you guys are so upset about your hair. First of all, you have great hair. Why are you doing a hair loss show? So I figured I would humor her, and I said, well, you know what? Thank you for the compliment, but, obviously a lot of people are, upset about hair loss. Obviously your friend is a fan, so he was concerned about his hair loss, and, I paint the back of my head. What you see here is a dummied up head of hair. And she looked at me like most people, women look at me. They don't really understand what I'm saying at first when I talk about painting my head. I explained it to her briefly. And she said to me, she actually looked at me and she said, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Now you have to understand, first of all, they come to my table. I'm sitting there trying to relax. This poor guy looks mortified because this woman is like basically initially saying she doesn't understand why people are so concerned about it. This is how I make my living. This is what I do in my life. And she's trivializing it. And then she basically says, I'm ridiculous for painting my head. Now, needless to say, this is an older broad, probably about 45 years old. It wasn't even, it wasn't even sundown yet. It's summertime here. So I was like, 7 o'clock, whatever it is. The woman looked like like Marcel Marceau. This person, and it's like she had spackle on her face. The whole, Los Angeles, Calabasas bullshit with the high heels. And she looked like she was going out to a club, and this is like a local joint. And instead of saying what I really wanted to say, instead of just kind of like putting her in her place right there and making her feel bad or embarrassing her, I just thanked the guy I just kind of like decided not to pay her any attention after her comments, and just thanked the guy for stopping by and thanked him for being a fan, and I wished him the best of luck. Now, when this guy left, he looked absolutely mortified. He was so embarrassed. But, it really speaks to how society views what we go through and the double standard that men and women deal with when it comes to our appearance. Now, this is all I got. This is what I look like. What you see on camera is basically what I look like. My hair is a little more gray in person. Maybe you can see some more extra wrinkles. In HD, you can see it, but because of the compression through the internet, maybe you can't. But this is all I got. I don't wear a face full of makeup. I don't have a push-up bra. I don't have a spray-on tan or fake nails. I'm not wearing high heels. I had a shirt on. My head was painted, and I was ready to go. This woman was basically wearing a costume to leave the house, to go to a local place to drink and eat. I can't even imagine what she must look like without that mask of makeup on. And the fact that she would even consider to trivialize what we go through, when it probably takes her 3 hours to get out of the fucking house in the morning, is laughable to me. And I think it illustrates the insanity that is the way society views men dealing with issues with their appearance. We're totally judged by women. We have to look good, we have to have great abs, and we have to be buff, and we have to be rich, and we have to be hung. They want every guy to look like George Clooney or whomever they think is hot. But if someone tries to look good, if someone wants to try to maintain their appearance, there's something wrong with them. Yet these women leave their house literally wearing a costume. I am the luckiest man in the world. The luckiest man in the world. And my woman she had a little eye makeup on last night. Nothing on her face. We're going to a local joint. This woman literally looked old enough to be my wife's mother. And I guess I'm, going off on this because it just, the insensitivity, forget about how she spoke to me, but in front of this guy who was honestly, probably, just psyched and just happy to be, he's meeting this guy who he's been watching or listening to for a long time. This program apparently helped him. He's explaining that to his wife and to this person. And she doesn't have enough respect for the guy to even act in a decent way. Well, she probably doesn't know how to. But I thought it was an interesting story, and I thought that it really does speak to how, society looks at hair loss. Imagine if we're going to see her on the site soon. She's an old broad. She's like 45 years old. She looks like she's just about to, if she hasn't hit menopause, she's just about there. When women wear so much makeup and they're wrinkled and it goes into the wrinkles and they think that they have to put more makeup on to look younger, when in fact that makes them look older? That's what's happening there. And the part was slightly widening. So, she's going to be there. She's going to unfortunately have to deal with that. Not that I want her to, but she may understand a little bit more. Anyway, 888-659-3727. If you have any questions, concerns about your hair loss, this is your safe place. Believe me. Again, that illustrates just how insane the world is when it comes to even talking about this and how society doesn't allow us to talk about it, nor do they want to understand it. And frankly, that's why this $3.5 billion a year industry gets away with so much crap. You get away with it because of people like this woman. Men are kind of afraid to talk about it and even do their due diligence, so they kind of everything is kind of like hidden. It's like a secret society. We feel like freaks because we're concerned about our hair loss. We're made to feel like freaks. She said it was ridiculous that I painted my head. What do you say to that? 888-659-3727. We had some lines lit and they just went off. So I'm hoping that my phones didn't just drop like my internet dropped, because my phones are VoIP lines. So I'm going to have to check that out. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. So, look, I know I'm passionate about this. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be doing this broadcast. All of you guys out there, you deal with it every day in your own way. But imagine if someone came up to you, you talk, that this is what you do for a living. Forget about the painting of my head. And they're like, oh, I don't, I'm in finance. Say someone's in finance. I don't understand why people are concerned about their finances. Or you're a doctor. I don't understand why people are concerned about their health. Think about that. That's exactly what it is. Let's see who this is. 888-659-3727. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this?
Violating your rule, man, but I had to call in early because I had to test your phone lines.
What's happening, man? How are you?
Is that acceptable to you and your staff?
Absolutely acceptable. So thank you for testing the phone lines. It looks like the phones are working. So you know what? You're going to be the first caller for the night, man. What's up?
Well, I don't get my theme song anymore, man.
You do. But usually you kind of give yourself a slight intro into your theme song. You have something that you want to say, and then
here's my slight intro. Don't be upset by some goddamn bitch attacking you viciously for no reason, because I'm attacked every day by my so-called wife, and I use that term very loosely.
Okay.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
my name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like to may reiterate it?
my name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is. My name is. My name is.
Joe from Staten Island.
Honestly, Joe, it's not that I was really upset about it because I've dealt with it before, but it's just the audacity of people. This person was obviously kind of, enamored by the fact that I'm sitting there having dinner with common law, and excited, and just wanted to stop by and thank me. And imagine if you were in that position or someone else, and your friend or someone you were with basically demeaned the way that this poor guy felt about his hair and what we do here at The Bald Truth. Forget about painting my head. I mean, this guy I saw the look on his face. He didn't know where to turn. I can guarantee you that he just gave it to his wife for bringing this bitch along and basically probably told her, listen, that's not the nicest thing to do. Maybe you should learn to hold your alcohol a little better.
I mean, this woman was a representation of all women. They're the biggest hypocrites going. Like my wife, she's 90% artificial, 10% real.
Absolutely. It's funny. The guy in the chat. These women, they're bleaching their their anuses. I mean, this is how insane it is. There's not a woman here in the Los Angeles area that is not wearing hair extensions, is not dyeing their hair, does not have fake eyelashes, does not have puffed up lips, does not have, I'm cool with this, but they are basically putting these silicone orbs into their bodies to completely reconstruct their bodies themselves. And they can't understand why guys are concerned about their hair. God forbid that we care about the way that we look to some degree. The one thing that we really have, you either have hair or you don't have hair. I can't walk around with a face full of makeup. I can't walk around. Like these women who are hiding their dark circles under their eyes every day. They walk out of the house. If these women would walk out of the house the way nature intended them to look, the world would be a fucking frightening place. Let me tell you that. And that is the truth.
I was dating my wife. I used that term very loosely for several months. Then one day I saw her without makeup. I didn't know who it was.
Well, you know what? I've dealt with that. I've dated. It was mostly my younger days, actually. But a couple of girls who were really, they looked really great with makeup. And it's not that they looked horrendous without it, but they looked so different without it. And it's like, it's such a misrepresentation of what they and who they really are. And these women, they don't feel good about themselves when they walk out of the house without their eyebrows painted in. Just think about that simple act. They paint their eyebrows in. I can't color my thinning spot on the back of my head. That's somehow taboo. This is their face. So I know I'm passionate about this, but I think it's important for you guys to understand, you young guys who are so concerned about what women think of you because of your hair loss. You're not going to be able to get hot chicks. You know what? The majority of these hot chicks walking around out there are not that hot. If you took off their hair, because they're wearing hair, let me tell you, they all have hair extensions now. And you changed their color back to their natural color. And you took off their fake eyelashes or their eyelash extensions or did not allow them to use Latisse. Took up that cover-up crap that they put under their eyes. Let them walk around in a T-shirt without a bra. And just a pair of jeans. Let me tell you, most of these broads that we think are hot, they're not even fives. They're not even fours. They're ridiculous.
The real, though. Women without their makeup and other accessories look dramatically different. There's no doubt about it. I was absolutely horrified when I saw what word will I use? The person I live with without makeup.
Well, that's, That's
How to
listen.
seek medical attention.
I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm reading the chat, guy in the chat saying I'm going to lose my female listeners. I'm not going to lose my female listeners. If there's women that are listening to me today, it's because they're losing their hair. They get it. They understand what it's like to have to live their lives, and they know what I'm talking about. They know that I'm right. They know that I'm not bullshitting, and I don't mind. I like a woman who paints her face a little bit. I like a woman to put high heels on and to put up a push-up bra and to look sexy and to wear lingerie and do whatever they have to do, to look good. I don't mind that. But let's call a spade a spade.
What type of lingerie?
Whatever it is. But don't judge people. Don't judge a guy for doing something about his hair. And this poor guy, and he may be listening, and if you are, dude, you should call in. But this poor guy... Excuse me. Jesus. This poor guy was, I know he had work done. He had a transplant. It looked good. He looked good. But he's probably thinking to himself, Jesus, I went as far as having surgery. And this is my wife's friend. Now, the wife looked a little weirded out, too. She was trying to play it off. But let me tell you, even 20 years ago, this girl probably didn't look that good. So I just find it interesting. When you go online, you read Facebook, you read the blogs, and you read different things, and women's point of view on certain things, especially when it comes to beauty, and that how there's such a double standard for beauty, and it's so difficult for women, and this and that. You know what? It's not that easy for guys anymore, and you girls make it even more difficult because if a guy wants to do something, there's something wrong with him. He's just got to deal with it. Man up and deal with it. You're losing your hair. So what? We may not be attracted to you anymore, but you shouldn't worry about it. You shouldn't worry about that. You shouldn't worry about losing your hair even though we think that you're not attractive anymore because you're a man.
Let me pose this question to you, Spencer. Why when a man's losing his hair, it's trivialized? But when a woman is losing her hair, that was a terrible tragedy. Can you please elaborate on that?
Oh, because it's socially acceptable for us to lose our hair. It's fine if we're bald. That's fine. It's not. It can't hurt us. It doesn't bother us that there's something that our looks are eroding or that we feel that our looks are eroding along with our hairline. That's fine. We have to deal with it because in society, there are millions of men walking around who are balding, so it's accepted. But for a woman, if she's walking around without her hair, if she's walking around with diffuse hair loss or female pattern hair loss, she must be sick. Poor girl. And you know what? I'm not making light of that because it is absolutely devastating for women. And I understand it's even more devastating I'm not going to say it's more devastating for the individual, but in society's eyes, it's even more devastating. So, it's more difficult for women not to hide it. They have to hide it because if they don't, they will become social pariahs. That's the tragedy of it. They may sympathize with it, but they want to see a woman with a wig on. They don't want to see a woman walking around without any hair on. A guy can. So I know what your point. We don't get any sympathy. Guys don't get any sympathy for losing their hair. We just have to man up, and we just have to deal with it, and we have to. We're idiots. You know what? And these guys who end up having bad work done, they make a decision to have a hair transplant, and things go wrong. They're even more fucked up because now they're like, oh my God, first I'm concerned about my hair loss. Then I decided to have cosmetic surgery, and then I made the wrong decision. I fucked up, and now what do I do? And a lot of these guys just sink into a deep, dark hole. And I blame the way, sadly, society looks at what we're dealing with and women like this. That's how I feel.
Would you believe society felt more empathetic towards males, that male pattern baldness would have been cured already?
No, I don't think so. I really believe that whoever is interested in it, and there's a lot of companies that are interested in this and a lot of scientists, if they were able to do it, they would do it because they know that the money is there. It's not about society's being sympathetic or empathetic about our hair loss. They know what the reality is. It's about dollars and cents, and everyone knows that a cure or an effective treatment for hair loss is going to bring billions and billions of dollars. It's going to change society. It's going to change the way that we live. So I don't think so. But I do still find it fascinating that there are women like this old broad. And you know what? She's younger than me probably. But to me, that's an old broad. And I hate to say it, but, there's plenty of 50-year-old broads out there that look pretty good, that are hot, they take care of themselves, and they're not complaining about shit, and they're not bitching about stuff. And this woman looks like a real ball buster.
Well, I hope you don't run into this couple again with this young lady, because you may be viciously attacked by her.
Well, this. Well, you know what? Fuck her. I don't care. You know what? I was very nice to her. I treated her with probably more respect and more dignity than she should have been treated with. I ignored her at the end and basically just, in a very gracious fashion, thanked the guy for stopping by, and I told him I appreciated it. It's always nice to meet someone who appreciates your work, and that's what I said to the guy.
Let me ask you a personal question. Did your wife offer any commentary with you on a personal level after you were viciously attacked by this woman?
Well, listen, it doesn't personally hurt me for a woman to say that it's ridiculous for me to paint my hair. She didn't have to console me or anything. We just kind of laughed about it. And you have to understand, I was already 3 drinks in. We had a car, a driver. I wasn't driving anywhere. So I was out there to have fun and to eat, and it was, at the time, it was kind of laughable. But when I think about it now, it really just illustrates how society looks at this silent epidemic. And you know what? It's even, you mentioned that, women get more empathy, but it's worse for women. It's worse for women because, women really have no place to turn. They really have they can't talk about this publicly at all. It's very, very difficult for them. So, Kamala and I just laughed. We had a couple more drinks and we ate. Had some fish and chips and some sushi and just enjoyed myself a little bit. But this is what it is. And this is why these poor guys are on the message forums, wanting to basically commit suicide, half of these guys, because, this is the way that they believe that society is going to look at them. And you know what? In many cases it is. If you go up to a woman and you ask them on the street, how do you feel about dating a balding guy? Of course they're going to say, it's no problem. I'll date a balding guy. Because that's politically correct. But in real life, if that same balding guy had a twin brother with a completely full head of hair and the same personality, they would go for the guy with the hair. And that is the way of the world.
Well, that's true. That's definitely a true fact. Surveys have shown that.
Absolutely. Now, Joe, I'm going to take a couple of phone calls. Would you like to hold on and hang out with me for a while tonight?
30. Well, yeah. Do you want me to get the news first, or do you want me to just hang out with you?
Why don't you hang out a little bit, and then we can get to the news in a little while.
Oh, like the old days?
Like the old days. How about that?
Okay, man. I appreciate that.
All right, hold on. I'll keep you potted up.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to give this a shot. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, it's Tim.
Tim from Boston. How are you, man? What's going on?
Not much. I wasn't going to call in, and then I was kind of, for some reason, I don't know, I've been feeling the same way about what you had just mentioned today. I had people make some comments to me. I had to call in just because I found that what you were saying is so true. I mean, it's so unbelievably true. And I was telling my friend the other day, I was talking about, how I would shave my head, and somebody had said to me, this woman who's actually pretty close to me said, why do you do that? Why do you shave your head? Because it doesn't look good on you, basically, is what, well, she didn't say it didn't look good on me. She just said, I look better with hair.
Yeah, what kind of a comment is that to tell somebody?
Yeah, what kind of comment is that? And it's like, I think this, what I said to, I actually, I'm a pretty relaxed guy. I'm not, I don't like to confront people or to, stir the pot, but I had to say something. And I said, I don't walk around telling women, well, if you just lost a little bit of weight, you'd look better.
Yeah, great point. You know what? If you shrunk that ass a little bit, maybe did some squats or something, you would look a hell of a lot
About
better.
that cellulite,
Yeah.
you know, unbelievable.
It
you
is.
know?
You know what? It is absolutely unbelievable. This double standard is such bullshit. And if we would ever comment about the appearance of a woman, I mean, we would be considered cads. Do they still use that word? I mean, it would be insane the bullshit that we would have to deal with. Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be bad if you got a nose job. Or why do you wear that color eyeshadow? It looks ridiculous. You look much better with the other stuff.
Right. And I love the reaction too. You know, like I actually I had a friend in New York. He's still a longtime friend. He still lives in New York, and he dated a girl who had a rhinoplasty done. And the reaction amongst the men was, "Oh, okay," you know, because it's common, you know.
Right.
And then this same girl said, "Well, I wouldn't date a guy who had the same procedure I had done."
What?
Yeah.
Why not? What was her reasoning for that?
So her reasoning was, you know, it's okay for women to be you know, into their looks and to be vain, but it's less attractive for a man to do such a thing, and it's more attractive for a man to just kind of wake up and look good. Was sort of what she said.
Yeah, well, that is some sick double standard bullshit. That is some bizarre reasoning.
And I think a lot of women, you know, I think it sounds terrible, but I think a lot of, you know, I work in a school, and I work with, you know, kids who are entering middle school, and you know, we have a class that's like, you know, a development course,
right?
And they talk about women in the media and how they're portrayed. And I had one of the teachers was giving, you know, a lecture, and it was all about how women are portrayed in the media, you know. And I said, well, what about men? I said, name a movie star who is a huge bankable movie star who's bald, other than Bruce Willis.
Right.
And you can't do it.
Right.
And, you know, or, you know, name some guy who isn't totally buffed out. You know, they all are.
Listen,
all of them. And even if they're bald, they're huge.
Listen,
you know?
and that's
It's
the whole.
ridiculous.
That's the whole point. And you know, and then listen. I'm not going to get into too much of my personal life, but there was a time in my life when I was much younger. I knew some. You know, I went to some pretty crazy clubs and I did some pretty crazy things, and I hung out at one particular club where these women would go, and it was all like, you know, how can I say this without getting too personal? Well, to make a long story short, women would only go here to meet like really attractive buff guys, okay? And it was insane. The behavior of these women, they were like effing animals. It's something that you can never even imagine. These are women that probably go home to their middle-aged, balding husbands who are taking care of their bills and their kids and all that stuff, but they are just losing their minds over these, you know, younger, buff guys with full heads of hair at this club. Mm-hmm. And that is just the bottom line. You know, I mean, it's to even think that that's not the reality, that there's not pressure for guys to look as good as they can. And you know what? Yes, you don't have to be Brad Pitt to get a great-looking girl, and there's a lot of ways to go out there and just do really well in life. And
yeah.
You know, this is what I found. The better looking the woman, frankly, the less attractive you have to be. And I know that doesn't make sense in most guys' minds. But for some reason, it's the mediocre chicks, the overweight chicks, the chicks that really don't have that much to offer as far as, you know, in the physical world. They're the ones who are going insane over these celebrities like, you know, George Clooney or whoever.
Real. That's the truest thing I've heard in a long time. Because let's face it, you know, in most, I mean, you live in Los Angeles. I think it's, you know, it's probably different. I mean, I'm sure you have your fair share of people out there who, you know, are mediocre. But, you know, I live in Boston where, you know, most people are average, you know.
Right.
On average, people are average.
Sure.
And so, it's ridiculous because, you know, I'm not an ugly person, but when I go out there and I'm meeting people, I'm not thinking, well, as compared to this person, you know, or as compared to the girl I met last week, you don't compare, and therefore you don't have a chance.
Right.
That's not the way And none of my male friends think that way. Most of my male friends who are my age, in their mid-20s, have the thought process of, man, it's really hard to meet a girl because you have to do all the, initiating. You have to do everything pretty much to start the relationship, and then you're usually doing most of the work.
A woman has no, it doesn't need, she could be a 5. She can be like very mediocre looking. After a couple of drinks, she's going to be able to get with a good-looking guy at a bar. That's just the way that it is. Because the guy doesn't really give a shit. He just wants to get laid. And frankly, he's not going to bring this person home to his mother. He's not going to bring this person home to his friends. He's just going out. He's out. And, it's all the same in the dark. Women don't really get that. They somehow think that they've been able to attract this attractive guy. And, there must be something to that. There's really nothing to it except that she's not hideous.
Well, the thing is that shocks me the most is that people, don't, and I don't know if this is the majority of people, men and women, but they look at themselves, and I don't think that they see what really is, or they think so highly of themselves, that, well, my expectations, this is my expectations, and I won't, alter it.
All you have to do is go on Match.com or one of these personal classified type dating sites.
Never would, yeah.
And just read some of the crap on there, especially the older women. Women in their 40s. They're like some of their criteria is must have a full head of hair, must be at least 5'10", must make do this, make certain amount of money. It's unreal. Meanwhile, this person is probably falling apart. She probably looks like shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know what? I deserve this. I'm a great person. I'm a catch.
Yeah. Where do they? I don't understand. People are out of their. It's like, I swear to God, people are out of their minds. People are out of their minds. And
women are out. Women are out. You know what? This now I'm sorry. I don't want to be misogynistic because I'm not, But
me neither.
But the reality is, I'm a very kind person. I've always been very kind to women. I've actually given. I don't want to go there, but I am not the type of person to shit on people or to talk about people's appearances. People are people, and I believe that with women. Listen, I happen to I lucked out. I found a really great-looking girl who happens to be the salt of the earth and all that stuff. But the truth is, if I found somebody else who wasn't quite as good-looking as common law, instead of being a 10 in my eyes, if she was a 6, and this is the God's honest truth, if she turned me on sexually and she was a cool person, it wouldn't make a difference. It would be enough for me.
Enough. And I think that's what I'm trying to say, and that's my whole point, is I think, at least from my perspective, and from the people I've, been around for the majority of my life, the men seem to be guys who are just, they'll be happy with not whatever they can get, so to speak, but just it's so difficult to meet people now.
Guys, listen, guys, they want to have a good relationship. They want to have as much sex as they possibly can and be attracted to the person. But she does not have to have, this incredible model's face. Women today think they need to be so fucking skinny. They're destroying themselves, by the way.
Yeah.
Because guys don't feel the same way.
Well,
Go ahead.
And I think, but it seems to just be that, but it seems like the tides have turned. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like, and, I had a discussion with this, actually, with a female coworker about, we've paid so much attention to, and I think this is why a lot of guys, on the forums have a lot of trouble about losing their hair, is because we've so harped on for so long about the image issues, and I'm not saying that they're not there, because they most certainly are, about women. But I think that society as a whole is so aware of it. I'm working with these 11-year-olds, and all the boys know that this is how women are portrayed in the media, and this isn't how real women are. But It does not seem to be, and it's sad, because it doesn't seem to be the other way around. There's an obsession with these, these male pop stars and these male actors.
Yeah.
It's complete obsession, and unfortunately, I'm with people, the future generation, and it's not the same way. It's like the tides have turned,
and it's only getting worse. Now, the great equalizer in life is money. I believe that for a guy. all of a sudden it's not just about having money. It's about the ability to earn that money, the ability to become successful, the ability to be, the big swing dick, so to speak. The guy that has done something great in his life. That's an equalizer. That makes guys of all different looks, who may not be the best looking in the world. That really does put them in a different level in women's eyes. It is very attractive to women. I'm talking about they're really attracted to these guys. It's not just the fact that they have the money. It's the fact that they're able to make it happen. That's sexy to women, and I really believe that.
No, that's absolutely true. Well, you know what I think it is it, like we always say, is confidence, because, if you're somebody who knows, how everything's coming together, you've been there before, you know what you're doing, that's important to a woman because they want to feel secure. But I think
exactly
the thing that's tough, I think, I'm transitioning, I'm going to be 26 soon, and I'm sort of out of that. It would have been much harder if I was losing I can't even imagine if I was losing my hair in college, man. But
yeah,
I can't, it's for guys that I know that are younger, and just things that they've had said to them. I'm sure, women have had terrible things said to them, but it just, I had a friend at a bar, and he's I think 2 years younger than I am. And he was at a bar, and he had gotten a drink at the bar, and he has a very attractive girlfriend, and he was talking to some girl just in a friendly manner, wasn't even attracted to her, and he got his drink from the bar, and he walked away, and I was still at the bar waiting for my drink, and the woman said, he's a nice guy, but he's bald. So,
that is so painful.
After he had walked away, and I had said something to this woman, I said, it's funny because I know Mike pretty well, and I know for sure that he didn't walk away and say something bad about you.
You know what? I'm proud of you, man. I really am.
She stood there and she looked at me, and she said, "Oh, well, I didn't know he was your friend." And I said, "Well, you should watch your mouth."
Wow. You know what? You're a stand-up guy, and it's important that she knows this. But the thing is, a type of person like that, it's not going to make a fucking difference. That's
what's so disappointing to me.
But I will tell you this. As we get older, there's no doubt that things do change. Women's stocks, sadly, they start to decline. Once a woman hits about 30, she starts to realize, wait a second. Wait, I got to stop looking at these guys, these Justin Bieber type of guys, and I got to find someone who's going to help me along in life. I got to find a real partner. And if he happens to have a receding hairline, you know what? I'm okay with that. And eventually they actually do get past it. And they do find guys who are not these models, or they don't have to be totally buff, or they don't have to be, have a full head of hair. They actually do find guys like that attractive, especially if they're doing well in life. So, and I can tell you this, almost every woman that I went to high school with is now married to a bald guy.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. And women, and I don't mean to cut you off, but women need to realize that. The guy that you marry today with a full head of hair will most probably be bald. And probably sooner than you think. So deal with it.
Well, some girl said that to me. She said, why, a girl I work with, a lot of people ask me why I shave my head because, if I grew it out, there'd still be a lot of hair there. And so I get this question all the time, and I tell people I'm losing my hair. And this one girl I work with goes, it's really unfortunate that happens to guys. And I said to her, well, it happens to a lot of women too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she looked at me and was like, shocked.
And then ask her, say, do you happen to be taking birth control pills? Because I bet you are. You have an incredible chance of losing your hair if you're taking the pill, and then just walk away.
Yeah. I think people are so oblivious. It's unreal.
Look,
I had to call in with that. I think what you said early on is just so, it's important for guys, it's important for guys to realize that, to realize that it's there. I think it helps because in understanding that that's how it is. It's not, it's everybody has their imperfections, and just because, you have this one thing or maybe you have a couple things, everybody else has them too. And just because, somebody says something to you or calls you out or because of this double standard, it doesn't mean that person isn't going through something as well. And there's no reason to feel, it's just like I was saying to these kids, there's no reason to just because, these girls feel bad about what they see on TV doesn't mean that you shouldn't either.
Yeah.
It's not something that no one's perfect. You shouldn't have to feel that way. But I think a lot of guys these days, feel this way because it's never talked about. It's taboo to talk about it.
Well, you know what? And that's what the show's about. We're going to talk about this. And we're going to talk about it more often. I know a lot of the guys on the forums and the guys who are, have been part of the show for a long time, all they want to talk about is the nuts and bolts of hair loss and nuts and bolts of what's happening in the industry, the nuts and bolts of, what's coming down the pike and what's on the horizon. But the truth is, this is the shit that matters. This is the stuff that really affects us as hair loss sufferers. And this is the stuff that no one, in my view, really has the courage to talk about. And I'm glad that you called in. I'm glad that you stuck up for your friend and had the courage to tell this woman, you know what? That was a fucked up thing to do. And imagine if your friend Mike said, you know what? She's okay, but she's got no tits.
Right. Horrendous. I would never say anything like that ever.
I wouldn't even think it. That's the thing. I wouldn't even think that. To me, it's just like, all right, well, she's got small tits. She's got small tits. There's nothing wrong with that. That's life.
Yeah,
as long as she's in proportion, I'm fine with it.
Right.
All right, dude. Listen, always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. Yeah. Great call. Thanks a lot. Take it easy. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
This is Joe Tillman calling from Ottawa, Canada.
Joe Tillman, how are you, man? You had a pretty lively phone call there, huh?
It was. I enjoyed listening to it while I was on hold. That's good stuff. It's true. I mean, I personally blame the Jersey Shores of the world helping to create false expectations of what a guy should be.
Dude, you have guys out there who are going for something called phalloplasty, which is probably the most insane cosmetic procedure ever invented because they think they need to enlarge their penises because of pornography. And the truth is that this particular procedure is one of the most disfiguring procedures. Like 99% of the guys who have it done will regret having it done. Yet there are doctors, and I use that term loosely, who are willing to do it because there is this bizarre need for that. I'm not talking about people who've had their dick bitten off by a dog or something. Then, having something done is worth it. But I mean, this is what's happening in our society. It's insane.
You're sending me a mixed message. You're talking like it's a bad thing to go through that. What?
Well, that's what I forgot. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Forgot.
I apologize. That's right. No, but really, this is what it. It's sad that this is what it comes down to. And listen, I'm all for people improving their lives. I am a big believer in cosmetic surgery. I've been in the cosmetic surgery industry for 17 years, and so have you. Yeah. Maybe not that long, but pretty close.
Well, long enough to see the craziness. I mean, it's it's not just about the hair, but you learn things about other procedures, through discussions with others, and of course, when people come in the office, you see all kinds of things, and the extremes that people will go to alter themselves to what they think their ideal should be, and it's crazy. I mean, what some people go through, and
it's okay. I mean, it's okay to go through it if you really are kind of like emotionally prepared to understand that this isn't something that's necessarily going to change your life in the way you think it's going to change your life. It's reasonable if you have a disproportionate nose and chin and all that, and you can fix that, and you want to get a rhinoplasty, maybe chin augmentation to balance out your face.
All right.
Joe, do I have to put you on hold?
Yeah, no worries.
No, not you. Joe from Staten Island. Do I have to put you on hold?
I'm sorry, Spencer, for that. I was part of that. I'm sorry.
I'm going to put you on hold. Jesus.
I'm going to take Joe Tillman question then.
Hold on. This phone system's so screwed up. Sorry. So lost my train of thought. So yeah, I mean, listen. I think that cosmetic procedures can be life changing if people understand that it may not change your life the way you think it's going to change your life. But if someone is very unhappy with themselves, they have reasonable expectations, they do their due diligence, then having a good cosmetic procedure can really be great. But, you see these cosmetic surgery shows, and you see these people who are out there like this human Ken doll, and these guys that have just, have really gone completely overboard and, in my view, bonkers, and have done some very dangerous things to themselves based on this ideal that's been created by the media. It's just like, holy shit, just pull on those reins, and stop and think for a second.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it can get out of hand for a lot of people, and a lot of times it can be a situation where, well, I just want to fix this thing about myself and I'll be happy, and then it, if for whatever reason, that can actually continue, right? It's like, well, I did this, well, now this area is kind of out of whack. I need to fix that, and it becomes a cycle, right? And I mean, we've all seen it happen. We see that guy walking down the street that's, okay, maybe you shouldn't have done this or that, or even women, of course, that can go too far.
Are you kidding? Where I live, I just have to go to my local Ralph's, and it's like a circus.
Yeah.
It's a freak show. I've never seen so many people who have been, and it's crazy. It really goes to show you just how many cosmetic surgeons there are in the Los Angeles area, because there are some really good ones, but there are so many bad ones, and there's so much bad work walking around. It makes me really feel bad for the person, because the person went in to better their lives, and they have to know that something fucked up, that there's something off about them. Unless they're completely out of their minds, they have to know that something did not go well.
It's tough to decide. It's like sometimes you see these some people walking around, and you have to ask yourself, do they even realize, right? I mean, are they happy with this? Do they realize it doesn't look, as natural as maybe they were hoping it would? It's just, you got to ask yourself, you got to question it.
I was sitting next. I was coming back from Vegas the other day, and I was sitting next. I was sitting waiting for my flight. I'm sitting next to this dude. He had like this old school, it wasn't even that old school. It probably wasn't done that long ago, because he was a relatively young guy, but it looked like an old school mini micro transplant. Just, almost cornrow-like, but, more of the stalky type of mini grafts. And I looked at this guy, and he combed it back, and he was dressed really well, and that he was either in Vegas for business or whatever, but, I mean, he was wearing a suit, and I just thought to myself, God, I mean, if he doesn't know, and he's got to know, but if he doesn't know, I mean, this poor guy has to walk around like this, probably for life, because at this point he doesn't realize that it could be fixed, or he doesn't have the money.
It could be any one of those situations, but I've met guys that have had something that you would be able to see, I'd be able to see, and I think the average layperson would be able to see. But I learned a long time ago, you can't assume that they recognize that they've had unnatural work that doesn't measure up to current standards that you'll find with an IAHRS doctor, American Hair Loss Association doctor. It's
current standards. This doesn't measure up to what was happening 10 years ago, and you see that all the time.
But it's like I've seen guys where they don't realize, they think it looks completely natural. It's like the guys with the comb over from just above the left ear. They think they're pulling something off that no one notices. And it's all, I don't know the psychology behind it, but it's.
Are you referring to me, by the way? You're not referring to me. Okay.
Not in the least. Not
Jesus,
in the least.
Because that would be insulting. No, but listen, I get it. I know exactly what you're talking about. I see it every day, and I see it here in Los Angeles. I see a lot of bad hair work. I see a lot of bad facial work. I don't know how it continues to go on. And, we always think to ourselves, and we've said this before, like the large chain clinics, how do they stay in business? How were they able to do what they did for so many years and still stay in business? Well, the reason is, and a doctor actually brought this up to me the other day, like we were talking about how, the internet is really controlling the flow of information, and he brought up this large chain clinic, like, well, if that was completely true, why would so-and-so still be in business? And I said, well, this company happened to become part of the fabric of our culture. So even the layman, even the person who's not really involved in the hair loss world, even if they've never thought about hair loss, if you bring up hair transplantation, the first thing they think of is this company. That is what you call incredible marketing, saturated marketing, to the point where, it's either one. There's two groups that are like that, and that's just the way that it is.
It's what I call the Q-tip analogy, right? It's like the little cotton swab is not called a Q-tip. That is a brand by Johnson & Johnson, yet the advertising and the, like you said, the saturation of this in North American society, I'm sure it's limited to North America.
Right.
It's always referred to as getting a Q-tip, even though
that's right.
If you get some other brand, it's not a Q-tip.
Right, it's a cotton swab.
It's something else. Yeah, cotton swab, but everyone calls it a Q-tip because of exactly what you just said. It's the branding that's been so effective.
Yeah, or Band-Aid, same thing.
Band-Aid, yeah, exactly. Another great example, of course.
Same thing. So, look, it is what it is. That's what I always say. I think consumers have to understand, patients have to understand just how dangerous it is out there in all fields of cosmetic surgery. We are dealing with hair on this broadcast, and when I started off the show, and this was just fresh in my mind. To me, again, this is really one of the main reasons why people get screwed in this industry, because it's just looked at as a joke. So thinking about doing something about your hair has to be a big secret. So everyone does it in secret. They don't take enough time to speak about it with other people, to try to do their due diligence and their research. They try to do everything like in this clandestine fashion so that people don't know that they're concerned about their hair or trying to do something. And they usually, a large percentage of guys just, they make bad decisions. At least they buy some bullshit product, at least that. But a lot of people, unfortunately, are getting bad work.
And the double whammy is if they're so shy about it and so embarrassed about it that they keep it on the hush hush when they get it done. It's a double whammy when they wind up having unnatural work, and then it's apparent to everyone around them. It's like, I mean, you're damn, how much more embarrassment can you endure?
Oh my God! You went through it. You went through it yourself, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? It's like I'll never forget. It's like talking to someone face to face, whether I knew them or whether it was the first time I met them. The eyes drift up to the hairline, and then the butterflies start rumbling in my stomach. It's like, oh God, here it goes again.
Yeah,
it's brutal. It's brutal for sure.
I can't even imagine that. It usually happens after I'm lucky, after I say what I do. So I don't have it initially, which says to me that at least naturally no one's really looking at my hair. They're looking at my face. But as soon as I tell somebody what I do, it is on. I mean, it doesn't make it. Everyone is looking at my hair. They're trying to figure it out. Some people want to touch it. Yeah. It's like all of a sudden it's like the eighth wonder of the world.
Well, honestly, it's because it looks so good as it is. I mean, you do a fantastic job on it. Your hair looks great in person, and that's another reason why people are so shocked, right? It's like, how can that be, fixed?
Dude,
how can that be?
It's like a helmet. I don't need to wear a helmet when I ride a bike. So anyway, so what's happening with you? There's a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, nothing new. Just
same old.
Same old.
Same old.
Quit a job, start a job.
Well, you know what? So people want to know about that. A couple of people in the chat asked about that. There's a lot of people who are, kind of wondering what happened. You posted on the forum that you are no longer a rep for Hassan and Wong, and that's pretty shocking because you basically were the face and the voice of Hassan and Wong for just about a decade.
Yeah, just pretty much. Yeah, 11 years. It'll be 11 years in October, and it was. I gotta say, it was one of the most difficult decisions I have ever had to make because, there is such an emotional investment I have with that clinic. Dr. Wong, he turned my life around, and I want to make it clear that there is no way I could ever deny that, turn that around, try to play on it. It is what it is. Dr. Wong did a great job of me, and I'm always going to be thankful for that, right? And I learned a lot from the clinic. I had a lot of great experiences. I certainly have a lot of great memories. But there comes a time when you got to start reevaluating things. And
well, I'm going to cut you off for a second. Right away, people want to know if there's a scandal. Why does there have to be a scandal? Why can't the guy just move on? Isn't that possible? That maybe that's like, you know what? I've enjoyed working here for 11 years, and maybe I want to move. Maybe I want to do something else.
Yeah, well, there's I don't have access to I'm on my phone, so I can't see my computer, but or the chat. But it's like this. I mean, there's only so much you can do over 11 years before you decide what's the next challenge, right? And
tell me about it.
There's yeah, exactly. Yeah, who am I talking to, right? But no, it's like this. Where I was, it was primarily or only strip, FUT, FUSS, whatever you want to call it. And there comes a point where you see something being offered that you can't offer, that you can't honestly hack it to death like you want to. Or like you think you should. But
eventually you can't really reconcile the fact that, at least in my view, that we know that every patient might not benefit from a strip.
Exactly. And I want to be clear here. It's been a long time since I have said that, like with regards to FUE, that it wasn't a good procedure. It's been a long time.
Well, you've been saying it's been a good procedure for at least 5 years.
At least. I mean, I don't have the specifics, but my attitude towards it started to change
August 25th,
quite a while ago.
August 25th, 2007, I think.
How'd I know you're going to do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
But no, I mean, in all seriousness, it's, I want to be able to offer something that people should be able to benefit from, and strip is not the solution for all patients. And I like the idea of being able to offer multiple procedures that are valid. I'm not talking about lasers. I'm not talking about serums that you've never heard of. I'm talking about procedures or options that have solid benefits and solid results.
Right.
That can benefit the patient. And unfortunately, I wasn't in a position to offer what I felt could be a better solution for some patients. And it was something I had to deal with for a while, and it was tough. And
well, what's interesting is that you are you keep things close to your vest, and I certainly appreciate that. And I think that speaks very highly of you and your loyalty to Hassan and Wong. Because I was shocked, actually.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people were, and like I said, it was one of the most difficult decisions I've ever made, and ultimately, I won't go into the details, but there was, being who I was, and being so public, is people have approached me in the past, hey, come over to the dark side, wherever whoever that may be. But
again, tell me about it.
Yeah, of course. But I never had any interest. But there are certain people in this industry that I have a lot of respect for, and I've always admired their work. And nitpick things here and there, but ultimately it's solid work. It looks fantastic. It's it's world class, and it can't be denied. And when you're offered an opportunity, when an opportunity comes along where you can represent a world-class organization that happens to offer what you feel is of a benefit to patients as far as services or options, you have to stop and think about it. And that's what I did. And I discussed it with my wife, and I wrestled with this for quite a while, but it eventually got to the point where I'm seeing these results out of the Rahal Clinic via FUE that were very impressive to me. Now, if you look online, there's not a whole lot of results, but I was seeing some results that hadn't been shared publicly.
Right.
And this is what was the determining factor for me, because if you're to look online, there's not a whole lot to really make that type of decision. But through discussions, things like that, I was shown what the reality is, and I was convinced that this is a solid option. This is a solid clinic that can offer what I feel the people need when strip is not the answer. And so I made the very difficult decision to resign my position and make the move. And it was something that I felt was, good for me and good for my wife and my future family. And I got to tell you, I mean, it's a very impressive organization. Dr. Rahal is, he's been doing the procedure. He's been performing FUE for, I believe, about 6 years now, pushing 7 years, and the results I'm seeing are fantastic.
Well,
and
let me tell you before you go on, and I think, and if
Yeah.
Dr. Rahal is watching this broadcast or listening to the show or going to see the archive, he must realize that. I mean, this is a coup for this guy, because listen, Rahal has an incredible reputation. Rahal has been with our organization for years. He's a guy that I've been recommending for a very, very long time. But to have a guy like you, with the credibility that you have, on his side, holy shit! That's I'm just saying. I mean, that's money, man. That is gold. Because you've been out there forever. You have the credibility, you have the legitimacy. It doesn't matter that you've been working as a consultant and as an online rep. You have proven yourself over the years to consumers that even though you have been working for a specific clinic, you've always been fair, you've always been honest, and you've always been able to kind of, in my view, win over the critics and the naysayers. And the fact that you basically created the way that the world kind of presents cosmetic surgery results now. That's just the way, especially in hair. You created that. You were the first to do that. Holy cow. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I love Victor and Jerry, and I hope that, and I know they're still going to do just fine. But if I were them, I would be like, wow, we really lost a good one. So
Well,
I just want to
appreciate
give
that.
I want to give you that credit, because I think that you deserve it. You really do, because you've done a lot of great things for this field.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. But I won't lie. I mean, it's scary, because I've been in the same position for 11 years, and you develop a certain I don't like saying comfort level, but you know what to expect, right? And now I'm kind of put in a position, or I put myself in a position where I don't know what to expect, because it's a new clinic.
That's how you succeed in life, man. That's how you get to the next level in life. You got to take chances, because you could have continued to work for this great clinic, and I'm sure you had a good relationship with them, and I'm sure you made a really nice living. But if you're on the phone every day and you're speaking to patients and you're unable to offer them something that they, A, might want, and B, might actually benefit from, you're basically just turning away patients, and you're sending them to somebody else anyway.
And I mean, it's been really nice, like the online response. I've had a lot of guys chime in saying, you weren't even trying to get me on board with your clinic, and you still helped me. You still helped to educate me about the FUE procedure I was going through, and they thanked me for that. And even it was other strip clinics. I mean, it's nice to get that acknowledgement, I guess. And it helped.
Oh yeah, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get any shit for this move. I mean, you've always done the right thing, and people realize that. And it makes sense. It's the smart move in every aspect. Listen, I say this all the time, and I really hope that the members of my organization really understand this, and I think most of them do. Strip is going by way of the dodo, whether we like it or not. That is the nature of the way that this industry is evolving, and that is just what consumers want. And sadly, I don't necessarily think it's for the best. I think that still believe that strip has its place, and for some people it's really important. A guy like you would never be in the position that he's in hair-wise if it wasn't for strip. I firmly believe that.
And I have been preaching this, and I still preach it. I mean, starting where I started from with Dr. Wong as a repair patient twice over, no, FUE would not have given me nearly the result I have now, which I'm very, very happy with. And it's not just repair patients. And people have been asking me what's my position on strip now that I'm, working for a FUE clinic, which is not, by the way, uniquely FUE. There is very high quality strip being offered. I still believe that strip is the option of choice for many guys that maybe have advanced Norwood patterns, or maybe don't have the budget for an FUE procedure, or any other combination of factors.
Look, I had Dr. Bill Yates on. I had Dr. Alan Bauman on last week, and they know how I feel about it. I'm very open about it. They are all FUE all the way, and they disagree with me. They disagree with you, and they will say, and they said it on this public forum, that they believe they can move as much hair, if not more hair, with the FUE method. And you know what? I don't believe that. I've been in this industry forever, and I got to tell you, I've never performed surgery, but there's some basic information that we all have as people in this industry, and some basic science. And part of that science, and a very important aspect of, and one of the main tenets of surgical hair restoration, is donor dominance, right? And also, we know that hair has to be basically DHT resistant, and there's only small amount of real, almost lifelong DHT resistant hair that is in the occipital region. There's a sweet spot, and with FUE, you cannot move all of that hair. I don't care what kind of crazy math anybody uses, it can't be done.
Well, here's the reality of the situation. You're always going to have the exception to the rule, right? I mean, there are cases with high numbers of FUE that are moved, but there's no single procedure that's right for every individual out there.
Right, I agree.
Just like strip isn't the answer for everyone, FUE isn't the answer for everyone. Even though there are extenuating circumstances from time to time that will allow a higher than average, an inordinate amount of FUE grafts to be safely transplanted in a few procedures. But it is not available to everyone in that capacity. And anyone that says that's the case, there's another motivation behind it. Because
it's either another motivation, or it's just a kind of a lack of real understanding. Look, I get it. If you could move hair that's going to last 20 years, that could be life changing for somebody. If the hair lasts for 20 years and then starts to miniaturize, that gives people a kind of a whole new lease on life to kind of get things jump started again, to get married, to build their career, to live their youth with a head of hair. So I can kind of see that, but I just think patients have to understand that, you know what? If we remove hair from this area right here, it's very possible that it's not going to remain a part of your hairline for the rest of your life. It may begin to miniaturize when you're in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s, and you have to be aware of that before we move this hair. As long as there's full disclosure, I'm fine with it.
The bottom line is, in those situations, I think it needs to be explained a little bit more bluntly than talking about the potential for miniaturization of the hair that's been transplanted. It's more like this. You hated going bald once. Try doing it twice.
Yeah, that's actually very that's blunt, and that's very well said.
And I've said this to people that say, well, why can't you take hair that's that may not be 100%, that might fall out in 15, 20 years? I've actually had discussions about this with other consultants from other clinics where they argue, we take the hair from the nape and put it in the hairline, but so if it falls out in 5, 6 years, we'll just put more there. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What person in the right mind would want to go through that emotional turmoil twice?
Oh man!
Opposed to once.
Listen, the shit that goes on in this industry, some of the stuff that's happening here in Los Angeles, and some of the body hair stuff and the nape hair stuff, and I think to myself, holy shit. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how much we're out there. There are going to be people who, you know what's insane to me? People go to YouTube to choose their cosmetic surgeon, whether it's a hair transplant surgeon or any other cosmetic surgery. Whoever has the most YouTube videos wins.
Pretty much, yeah. And unfortunately, I feel partially responsible for that since I started doing the HD videos.
But you're not.
But
you're providing a good service. But the truth is, it's really ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, and it's happening in all aspects of cosmetic surgery. You have the best YouTube page. You have the most views, which you can buy, by the way. Then you win. And there's a guy down in South Florida he's out there a lot on YouTube. We get a lot of complaints about this guy, and this guy did apply to the IHRS years ago. Weren't able to take him. Seems like a nice guy, but he's pretty big on YouTube, and that's all he needs. That's all these guys need to get a patient. So, listen, Joe. I want to take a quick break, but I also want to take a phone call before I take that break because somebody's been on hold forever. So let me put you on hold, and then I'll get back to you in a second. I'll get back to Joe from Staten Island as well.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Hold on. Oh shit. Sorry, dude. I hung up on you. Call back. Hey man, you're on the air. Who's this? Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Am I on the air?
You are on the air.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I didn't realize I was potted up.
I actually took a call from somebody else, but they are not on the air now, so I'll just hang up on them. Yeah. Joe Tillman, call back. I'm sorry about that.
Can I just give you some tragic news to the audience very quickly?
Let's give some news. Let's do your news real quick. I won't take this break, even though I got to piss.
All right, first of all, some tragic news. Dr. Oscar Klein died.
Yeah, that's let him rest in peace. He lived a long life, though. How old was he? He must have been in his 80s.
Like 86. I'm not sure. I think he was like mid-80s.
Yeah.
I mean, my expert opinion, this product never really did anything, but at least the man didn't destroy people's lives like some of these so-called.
I got to tell you, all these guys that sold their own hair loss products, it's always just like, oh Jesus. I mean, listen, I like Dr. Lee. He's a good guy, but everything seemed very suspect to me about all these products, and that's just my opinion.
But at least, I mean, these guys, I mean, they might have ripped you off for money, but at least they didn't destroy your life. There's a big difference between them and these so-called physicians who perform hair transplants, who have destroyed millions of lives. I mean, that's the point I'm trying to make. Let me give you the rest of the news. I know you have to go on break.
Go ahead.
Really not much stuff, but a company, Atopics, has completed phase 3 trials. It's being submitted to the FDA now. It's a PGD2 inhibitor. It's an asthma drug, but according to hair loss researchers, it can be used for the prevention and regrowth of hair in combination, as Dr. Wachenik said, with something like bromoprozol.
Right.
So this phase 3 trial has been completed, and this product should be in the market shortly.
Yeah, which is exciting. Listen, every little bit helps, and if we can get something that's going to get us that much closer for guys, especially in the early stages of hair loss, to be able to continue to maintain their hair in an anagen phase and to even regrow hair. I mean, Christ, that's one more tool in our arsenal. Sadly, one of the major tools in our arsenal just is really not being utilized as much as it once was, and that's of course is finasteride.
Just one more quick question. Yeah. I'm confused about something. Joe Tronic has switched from strip to exclusively FUE, or a combination of both?
No.
He's being attacked online, as you know.
He is. Is he being attacked online? I didn't see that he's being attacked online. Who's attacking him?
Yeah, because people are. Excuse me?
Who's attacking him?
On other forums, people wanted to know why he was a proponent of strip, and all of a sudden he's a proponent of FUE.
Again, he just explained himself, and the truth is, we all evolve, and he has been talking about FUE for a long time. He just happened to work for a company that solely did some of the best strip in the world. So he decided to move on because of that. And I'll pawn him back up in a second. I think he's on the line. But yeah, I mean, he decided to move on because he wanted to work with a company that offered both options. And that's what he's doing now.
And one quick question, final question. Your expert opinion, you prefer FUE? I'm confused about your stance. You prefer FUE or strip?
I don't prefer either. I think that if you're a young guy considering surgical hair restoration, I wouldn't even go near strip. And I've been saying that for many, many years. If you're under the age of 35, to me, it's not even a consideration. It just isn't, because you're just too young to make that decision. And you're probably too early in your hair loss. You started losing your hair at 20. In some cases, perhaps you can, the repair cases, whatever, but, those are different situations. I'm probably the biggest proponent of FUE that there is. I repeat myself all the time, but, I was the liaison between the inventor of FUE and the rest of this industry. I brought the Woods technique to light, and I was able to get people like Alan Bauman and Bob Bernstein and John Cole and Alan Feller and others to really take a look at this technique and develop it on their own. And that's why it's where it is today. So to answer your question, Joe, I think they're both good techniques, but I definitely am leaning towards more FUE, but I don't think that FUE is really a procedure that is going to get everyone the most hair moved. I think a combination of both procedures, depending on your extent of hair loss, depending on your maturity level, and depending on how far you've progressed in your hair loss, having a combination of both procedures might be the way to go.
All right, it's an excellent point. By the way, you have a beautiful shirt on today. Your beautiful shirt on tonight, white shirt.
Thank you, Joe.
You look like you're about to perform surgery.
See you later. Thanks for the call, dude.
Maybe if you open your own clinic, you'd have thousands of people coming in anyway. Probably, assuredly, right?
Well, that's the great thing about this industry is you don't even have to be a doctor to open your own clinic.
The sad thing is, I could open my own clinic and people would come.
Yeah,
that's this how sick this community is.
I could hire a couple of doctors, just put up a shingle, and we are in business.
Right. Okay, I'll let you go. Again, thank you for the extra time, and I apologize for that. But I'm not used to being potted up. You know what I'm saying?
It's okay, man. It's all right. Thanks for the call. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Take it easy. Bye-bye. He's sober. Hey, Joe? Is it you?
Hey, I'm here.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I won't even take a break. I'll just continue on with this. So I don't know. I don't see anybody attacking you.
Again, I'm not privy to the chat since I'm not in front of a computer.
Anyway, I'm being asked why I don't get a hair transplant. I don't get a hair transplant because I'm concerned about shock loss. And I'm at a point in my life, and I have been for a long time, where I think that the risks do not outweigh the possible benefit, or the risks outweigh the possible benefits for me. So I'd rather paint my head than go in there and utilize my finite amount of donor hair to fill in my crown. That's how I feel.
And that's a reasonable position. I mean, we've discussed this, and yeah, I mean, there's if you're fine with doing what you do, then why risk it, right?
I have no problem with it. Even if I was single, I swear because I talk. This is what I do. I talk about it. Listen, I paint my bald spot. Deal with it. And that's it. I move on. I'm not self-conscious about it. I enjoy having the option to do it. I really do. I feel so grateful that I have enough hair just to throw on a little makeup and some hairspray, and I'm out the door.
And it works extremely well on you.
Well, thank you. And a lot of people just can't. They can't deal with it. It's like they can't paint their head. They can't do this. There's guys out there that would benefit from wearing a great hairpiece, especially the older guys who are in their 50s and 60s, who probably, they're married, they have they're set in their lives. They don't have to go through surgery. They're unhappy with their appearance. Try a light hair system. It may work for you. If you don't like it, you throw it out. But it's like there's such a stigma. Someone contacted me, a person that I went to high school with, contacted me through Facebook yesterday, or it was the day before or whatever. And she wanted me to take a look at her husband's hair. She asked me about some options. She actually asked me about the laser comb. Asked her to send me a picture of her husband. Husband had, significant hair loss. It was like almost a Norwood 6 at this point. So I'm like, listen, laser therapy is not going to help him at this point. His best option would be either, really good hair transplant surgery or a hair system. And she's like, well, what's a hair system? I said, well, a hairpiece. And her response was in capital letters, in bold letters, never.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe if she kind of understood the industry more and knew what was out there, she wouldn't say that. And she also referred to hair transplants as plugs. Now, this is a very well-educated person. And she's a very nice girl from what I remember. I don't really know her as an adult. But this is what it is in our society. So there's so many options out there that, there are options out there that people will not take advantage of based on societal stigma.
And those stigmas come from, and I've said this many times before, it comes from how those types of options are referenced in the media. It's always every time it's almost like everyone's using the same script. If there's a news story about some sort of new hair treatment, the anchor woman or anchor man will say it's not plugs anymore.
Yeah.
And of course, in film or on television, it's always the comic relief. Ha ha! Look at the guy with the plugs, or look at the guy with the wig.
Yeah, yeah. Or what was it in? What was that movie where Jason Alexander was wearing his head was painted, like really severely painted?
Oh yeah, what was that? Oh God.
But anyway, the whole joke about Ron Popeil's GLH, hair in a can, all that stuff. I mean, that's what people think of when you say that you're painting your head. And I say paint because it's something it's palatable, it's something that people can understand, and it does have, I am a little self-deprecating. But the truth is, I don't really paint my head. I wear a little makeup on my scalp, a little camouflage, a little concealer, just like a woman would wear under her eyes to cover her dark circles.
Yeah.
Basically the same concept. So guys will not take advantage of these options because of their fear of what people are going to think of them. And you know what? That's fucking sad.
It is. And the truth is that there are, they're afraid of it, being unnatural looking, referred to the hair systems. But the truth of the matter is there are some damn good hair systems out there. I mean,
there are.
Extremely difficult to detect what's going on.
I've tried little yarmulkes and stuff like that. For me, and to tell you the truth, it's not bad. It's real. I mean, no one could tell. I could pull a Ted Danson. It'd be incredible. But you know what? I still have enough hair in the back where it doesn't really look too flat back there when I paint it. So to me, it's just easier to throw on the paint. But, if I wanted to get a little Frisbee, put it up on top, a little glue and have it cut in, to me, it is not a big deal. And any woman who would think so, even if I was in my 20s, and this is the truth, any woman who would think it's a big deal is, honestly, it's just, she's not worth your time of day.
Well, it's a double standard because the guys can't wear the wigs, the women can. The women can't lose hair, the men can. Right? It's
right.
Like it's vicious. It's just insanity.
But women walk around with wigs women who don't need wigs. They just might have short hair, whatever it is, and they're wearing hair extensions and wigs all the time. All the time. Yeah. Here in Los Angeles, it is insane. I go out and we go Norwood clocking, and we also look for hair extensions. Hair extensions are so rampant, and they're so shitty, some of them here, especially when you see them on waitresses, people who are like working for a living, and they've spent
they don't take them out.
Yeah, they've spent all their money, and they're really trying. It costs a lot of money to get a good set of hair extensions, even if they're cheap. It costs them a lot of money, and they leave those in for months, and you just see these crazy tracks and things falling. It looks like it's falling off their head.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. The color doesn't match, and it begins to oxidize after a while, and it's ridiculous.
You're painting a hell of a picture.
Oh, listen, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the women who are watching, what they think of me now. But I've said this before. It's just, listen. As guys, we know you're all phony as far as the way you look, and we're okay with that.
We are okay with that.
Look
we could care less.
Look at these porn stars. I mean, we're okay with
do.
the full,
I mean-
the full face of makeup and the fake eyelashes and the fake boobs. We love that shit. That's fine with us. But let's
Just
call
give
it.
us some of the same love.
Yeah,
That's all we ask. Give us some
exactly.
of the same
Let's
love.
call a spade a spade. If a guy wants to go out and get a hairpiece or get some hair transplants, don't judge him for that. That's all we got. We got nothing else. I could put on a short sleeve shirt. I could put on a long sleeve shirt. I could put on shorts. I could put on jeans. I could put on shoes. I could put on sneakers. That's it. Those are basically my options. A suit. I can grow facial hair. I could shave it. I don't look that much different either way. These people put on they put on masks. They look completely different.
Yeah, I mean, like two different people. No question about it. It's disgusting sometimes, actually, but it's a crazy world. What do you do? I mean, the standards are different for each sex, and somehow we accept it.
I don't know. I don't want to be sitting next to a bar drinking with a geisha. That's just not my thing, man. Less is more when it comes to makeup in my view.
Yeah, I agree. That's always been the way for me. I mean, it's there's a certain aspect of being able to pull, a certain quality about being able to pull off an attractive look without actually having to work too hard at it.
But the worst thing is when you're making out with a chick, and it's been years since I made out with some strange chick, and then you get home, or you say you sleep there, and you get back, you put your shirt on, and it's filled with this like pancake makeup or whatever they wear on their face. It's like, Jesus Christ. I mean, you've met Common Law, and she doesn't put anything on her skin. She puts some stuff on her eyes, and that's it.
Yeah.
She really puts nothing on her skin. And I think that also helps to contribute to her youthfulness, because I believe that pounding on all that makeup makes a person look older.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And in Common Law, she can pull it off really well. And, that's just a testament to her great genetics. I mean, she's a good-looking woman, and she pulls off the minor makeup thing quite well.
Oh, thank you.
And you're a lucky guy. She's a good lady.
Well, I appreciate that, man. But listen, I'm gonna make this a shorter show. Instead of taking a break, we're just gonna kind of wrap things up. I want to congratulate you on your move. I think that it's important for people to understand that, we all hit a certain point in our lives where we have to make decisions about our careers. And this, in my view, is a positive decision. You have worked for a leading clinic for two of the best hair transplant surgeons in the world. You've worked for them for 11 years. You have, in my view, and I hope Victor and Jerry don't get angry with me when I say this, but you have, I'll put it this way, you've helped to put them on the map in a way that I don't think anyone else could have done. And so I think you've done them a tremendous service, and I think that they're going to continue to thrive, as they move on and as they evolve. I'm sure they're going to find somebody else, and they're going to kind of move. I think it's probably going to be better for everybody. You're going to be happy. They're going to be happy. Rahal's going to be happy. It's going to be one big fucking happy place.
Well, I want them to do well. I want them to continue to prosper, and I leave behind a lot of friends there. The technicians, the office staff, and like I said, it was one of the most difficult decisions I've made. But I'm excited because the new opportunity I have at Rahal, I'm going to up my game as far as showing what FUE can do. I'm motivated for new videos, and I got some new ideas that I'm pretty excited about, and I'm looking forward to those coming to fruition so I can share with everyone else.
Well, good, and I think that's important because what you do, the rest of the industry will follow, and I think it's important for you guys to get that information out on Bald Truth Talk. I think it's important to get some more stuff on the IHRS, which we will talk about. And I want all of our members to get more involved, including on the American Hair Loss Association. It's going to up everybody's game. That's the nature of, the industry. If people see the guys who are able to market what they're doing and what you guys are offering and what you've offered with Hassan and Wong, it's like the best in the business. You were able to market that well. It's important that consumers see this, because let that be in the face of consumers. Let the good work be out there, as opposed to all the shit that's being heavily marketed.
And that's the challenge, because there's a lot of it, and unfortunately consumers have to sort through more of that than ever to get to the quality work. And so, hopefully what I do in the future will help the quality work stand out even more, so that people will understand their options even more.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys decide to do. And I want to thank you for calling in, and thank everybody else for hanging out. It was a fun show. I'm going to go a little early. Like I said, I did not take a break. But Joe Tillman, and that's how you're going to be known online from now on, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that's good. I think that's important.
And just one last word is, like, anyone that's listening that's been asking me for my email address and with Rahal and trying to get through to me through email. Eventually, I will let that out, but I've got a lot of things on my plate right now, and to open the floodgates for a lot of emails would be extremely stressful for me. So just bear with me. Let me get through the process of moving into a new company and absorbing the information I need to absorb before I start engaging in that fashion. So I appreciate everyone's patience.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate that, and I wish you the best of luck. Guys,
my friend.
Take care. Guys, we are going to close up shop tonight. Let me give out the websites. I'm sorry, I just hung up on Joe. It's just habit. It's habit. I apologize. The websites, of course, the American Hair Loss Association, which is americanhairloss.org. If you are considering surgical hair restoration, check out the doctors who are members of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons at iahrs.org. If you want to interact with other hair loss sufferers, if you want to kind of know what's going on in the field of hair loss, if you're interested in knowing about what's happening as far as the future of hair loss treatments, check out our message forum, which is baldtruthtalk.com. Please, when you go on the forum, if you're going to post, please, act in a civil manner. Have respect for other people's opinions. Also take things with a grain of salt. That all message forums, including our message forum, the information that's generated on the forum is really generated from the public. And some of that information could be misinformation. It could be disinformation. It could be just, hopeful postings. You can come back here. You can kind of get the facts about what's really happening in the industry. But if you want to interact with other hair loss sufferers, if you want to see what type of procedures they're having, if you want to take a look at some of the physicians who are presenting their cases on baldtruthtalk.com, that's definitely the place to go. And, of course, if you want to listen to archive and watch archive broadcasts of this show, you can go to thebaldtruth.com. I want to thank all of you for listening. And until next time, be strong and God bless.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.